Hello and welcome back to the New York Young Republican Club podcast. My name is Mario J. Nicoletto, your campaigns committee chairman, and I'm joined with Navy veteran, community advocate, community activist, and most importantly, state assemblyman of the 49th District, Assemblyman Lester Chang. How are you?
Hey, thank you, Mario. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast here.
Of course. I'm happy to have you on. Before we get into it, really quick, there's plenty of you watching that are not members of the New York Young Republican Club. I'm going to plug it early because I'm afraid you're going to turn it off, okay? Join at, NYYRC.com/join. You got to become a member, be a patriot, come to our gala. I'll give you the whole spiel a little later on. Until then, I want to talk to you, Lester. Such an incredible story we have of overcoming odds against all adversaries, excuse me. Earlier, we were talking before about your 2022 race. Now, that was, you had raised not as much as your opponent. He'd been in there for 36 years, right?
Okay, that's correct.
What was it like kind of being the underdog in South Brooklyn of all places?
Well, before I had to do a study, and this is my third run. First two in Manhattan and third one is in Brooklyn. I raised very little money, maybe less than $30,000. And I know my opponent is 36-year incumbent, a number 2 Democrat. My district is still overwhelmingly blue. 5-to-1 ratio, 5 Democrats to 1 Republican, and about nearly 30,000 no party affiliation. So I know it was the odds already that there's no way if I were placing my bet, I'm don't put a bet on me.
Right.
Okay, it's not possible I can win. But one thing I know a year before that, Curtis Lewa was running as a mayor, and I saw the numbers in that district. And second, demographic was working towards me because more and more Chinese was getting into that district. It was more than 50%. But I knew from my experience, Chinese alone demographic would not help me. But what Curtis Lewa did, it pointed away that certain elements, certain districts that were very conservative, family value oriented. So if I was able to tap into that, and my opponent is he's about almost 20 years older than I am. So he doesn't look healthy at all. And I knew that he did not take care of his constituents. You have to take care of the people who's going to vote for you, not paying nonprofit organization or unions, but people down to the regular level. They need to be serviced.
No, absolutely. And then I could only imagine the, not shock, but because by like 5 points too, it was 47-52, I believe.
So less than 5 points. I mean, out of 16,000 votes, we're talking about less than 800 vote margin.
Yeah.
Out of 800 vote margin, less than 400 was mail-in ballot.
Right.
So that means all machines, no matter even if you give away the mail-in ballots and sign in to my opponent, I still win well over 400 votes by machine. So I was surprised myself how tight. I wasn't sure why I was able to win. And to be honest, I really wasn't sure. This is my third time running.
Right. And then what would you say, like, because a lot of people that watch this and many of my friends, I'm sure many of your friends, they want to run for something, whether it's state assembly or town council, wherever, right? City council, rather. What was one or two or however many you want to share lessons you learned on that campaign that led you to become an assemblyman that really stuck with you?
Certainly. Again, you had to understand what I'm against. And this is probably a record. 36-year incumbent, a number 2 Democrat, nearly $2 million in his campaign funds. I raised less than 30,000. There's no matching funds at all. Okay, 5 registered Democrats to 1 registered Republican, and about less than 30,000 are non-affiliation.
Right.
My community didn't even support me. I have no endorsement now. For less than 30,000, what can you do? What can you do? Can I afford a mailers? None. So the only tools I have, marketing tools I have, business cards, lots of palm cards, a few banners, lots of posters. And 2 things I have that most people who run for office, I have volunteers, about nearly 20 high school volunteers. And I groomed that for several years. And on top of it, now my wife, but then my girlfriend, my fiance, who also had a nonprofit, and she was a key factor because you have to have your other spouse to support you. Because without a supporting spouse, if there is issue at home, they expect you as a husband, family first, campaign second. In this business, campaign first, family second. That's unfortunate. As a military person myself for 24 years, mission first. If you cannot overcome that, then don't run for office. Because if you want to win, you have to have the fire in your belly to win. I work 7 days a week. I'm already retired in the military, so I have a pension already. So I have a stream of income. I don't worry about the money itself. That's why it didn't concern me. I pound over 4,000 doors times 3, the same door 3 times. Mostly Democrats, mostly non-affiliates. Because I look at the numbers, 15,000. Out of 15,000, I know about between 3,000 to 3,500 are Republican. That I know that is my base.
Yeah, they're coming out no matter what.
They come out no matter what. So I have to win over only 4,000.
Yeah.
50% plus 1.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. 50%. So that's why I pound over 4,000 doors, the same doors. And you have to have thick skins, folks. Thick skins. Because those Democrats will blow you away. They will tell you everything. They will say this, they will say that. Republicans, this and that. So you have to put a smile and go back there again. Because there are issues you never know. At that time, Black Lives Matter was running rampant at that time. So you had to understand that time. All right, stores is being robbed, shoplifting. Okay,
right.
And our community was being assaulted, and cops couldn't even arrest it because the cops lost their qualified immunity at that time. So cashless bail on top. So public safety was disordered.
Yeah. It was at that time. I wasn't living in the city, but I was seeing what was going on in the city, and it was pure anarchy.
That's correct. So there was public safety was a concern, and the cost of living was a big concern.
Yeah.
So when I pound on the door, I ask very simple, basic question: do you feel safer today than you were 2 years ago? Do you pay more for your eggs today than you were 2 years ago? Do you pay more for your gas today than you were 2 years ago? Those are the kitchen top issue. I never criticize my opponent, never have, and I will not, because that's not good politics. Always talk about issues, kitchen top issues that you have no control, issues that you have control, then you spill it out in there. And of course, you got to have a good background too.
Right. Well, I actually want to talk a little bit about
Certainly.
that. So I won't even say that. Every person that's holding an elected office kind of comes from a different background, right? You were born Lower East Side?
Born Lower East Side in Chinatown in the 60s. My father came to this country 100 years ago.
Really?
Yes, he born in 1910. Calculate how many years is that? 116.
116.
And he passed away when I was 8 years old. So it was in his middle 50s. It was very common between my father and my mother. The age difference is over 20 years.
Okay.
And at that time, back in the 60s, actually in the 40s, there was a law called the Chinese Exclusion Act.
Okay.
Directly for the Chinese for 100 years, the law says you cannot, Chinese cannot able to immigrate into the United States at that time. So before that Exclusion Act, then we have people working in the gold mine during the gold rush in California. Then we built the railroad. It's basically a lot of Chinese labor working that time.
Right.
So it's basically for men, and again, the sailors that comes into this country, of course, doing for trading. You have to have trade from China. It is very profitable. So some of the sailors able to remain, and of course, you got scholars, you got the diplomats that are able to come to this country. So other than that, but the Exclusion Act until World War II, 1943, did they able to lift that, but with a quota, 105 Chinese per year. You can imagine 105 Chinese per year from 1943 until President Johnson completely taken away from that.
So that was a couple decades.
It was a couple decades. That's why our Chinese community always very small. There's a restriction on that, and mostly are men.
And It's so. But pulling it back to you growing up in Chinatown, you grew up in Chinatown, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And I guess, was there a moment or was there a period of your life where kind of dedicated yourself to service? Because clearly that's what you're all about, right? You
Yes.
were in the Navy, you're an elected official, among many other things. You have served your country in more ways than one. Was there a particular moment or time in your life where you said, all right, I'm here to serve?
Well, it's more than that, because my community is very small. And during the 60s, we were a little bit more than 100,000 Chinese in New York City,
Right.
versus almost 8 million. Okay, that's tiny. I remember, for people who know New York City, Chinatown, Mott Street is a big street in Chinatown. Okay, can you imagine that? I remember in the baby carriage, and older Chinese men would help my mother cross the street in Mott Street, escorting, so make sure the cars pass safely. You don't see that now.
Yeah.
You do not see that. Why were these Chinese old men? Because they never seen kids and mothers. Because the Chinese Exclusion Act mostly are male bachelor who did not able to find their wife. Many of them were lonely men, bachelor. And that was how it was in Chinatown. And that always in my mind, that one day I will have to be that voice for my community. And then, of course, I serve my country. I work in the banking field. I live and work in India and Bangladesh as a freight forwarder for nearly 20 years. I'm always a product of public school. Graduated from Brooklyn College of Accounting. Graduated from my master's degree at SUNY Maritime College in transportation. Always public school, never private. So always, I'm the street person, always public. Family always raised poor. Mother working in a sewing factory. So there's no money in there. And my father passed away 8 years old when I was 8. So we were basically raised by a single mother. I have a younger brother and an older sister, family of 4.
Right.
So how can we survive? So the only way we can survive is open a business, restaurant. That would save us.
Right.
That's in that time, there was 3 industries for our community to thrive at: restaurant, laundry, and basic stores, shop
Like
stores,
convenience stores.
convenience stores.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. Doctors, lawyers, accountants, very rare commodity, and it's not like until today. It is not like that. So my community has succeeded. They built the American dream, what we call model minority, but I don't think so. We call it a model American, adapted this country and follow the American way. And why we based on that? Because of Confucius.
Right.
Confucianism is always honor your parents, honor your authority. And I think Confucius invented specialized test. For him, in order to be a court philosopher, he has to take a very difficult test. And that's why for thousands of years in the Asian countries, whether it be Japan, whether it be Korea or China, there's always a specialized test to go into the very top university.
Right.
Top university. And for us, for our community, to take in a specialized test is normal.
Right.
It's given thousands of years.
I did not know that.
You didn't? Okay, so that's something for the audience and for you to know.
There you
And I
go.
believe Confucius invented a specialized test that way because in order to reward people who are in somewhere in China and able to take an arduous, difficult test to rank that top 0.5% to be
Right.
working in the emperor court.
Wow. Well, I mean, you've done so much. It's like you've been in the Navy for decades,
Yes.
right? In the private sector for a very long time as well, going to different countries. And then, what
led me to what I'm doing?
what led you here?
You get angry.
You get angry.
You
Can
get
you expand
angry.
on that?
Cassius bail.
Yeah.
All right. Black Lives Matter. Qualified immunity that cops lost. And the inequity of the housing court is favored towards tenants who don't pay rent. And that was after the pandemic. And that was a stupid way of not. I heard that President Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, that president correctly, and says, don't have to pay for rent.
Yeah.
And people didn't pay for rent. So you hear things and people crying about that. So, I got to do something about it.
Right. Like you said, the voice for your community.
That's correct. Voice my community. And also the Democrats poisoned the city. Bloomberg was a caretaker. He made sure we have a positive budget itself until de Blasio destroyed it. And then next after that, Eric Adams.
Yeah. And then after him,
yeah, it's just gone down to the toilet.
Yeah, it's only been getting, from what I've seen, worse and worse. I mean, I wasn't necessarily even around the city. I lived a lot of my life in Long Island, and now I'm in Bay Ridge.
Close to my district. Yeah, close to my district.
I'm close enough,
The audience, I represent primarily Dyker Heights, Bensonhurst, South Brooklyn, Sunset Park, and a piece of Borough Park.
There you go. And that's District 49.
That's District 49. So demographic mostly is now 60% are Chinese. For the whites, 30%, a lot of Jewish and a lot of Italians, conservative value.
Yeah.
And 2 to 3% are blacks and 5% are Hispanic. I'm fortunate I don't have any public housing in my district. It's mostly a single 2-family house, mixed use homes. Not that many condominiums and co-ops, not that many.
Mostly just houses.
And mostly are maybe 5 or 6 stories of buildings, but not that many. Mostly are houses itself. Okay. Very working class neighborhood. Very working class.
Blue collar.
That's correct.
Yeah. I feel like, and maybe if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, but I feel like now, and this is a broader point about the Republican Party. In 2012, we had Mitt Romney. 2008, we had John McCain, and then in 2015, before the primaries even concluded, we saw Donald Trump go down the golden escalator. And
I remember that.
Everything. Yeah, me too. Everything just kind of changed from there, where we went from being the party of, free trade and not media markets, free trade and like mass markets and internationalism. We kind of turned it into a party more about the American worker, the American family, getting closer to that American culture. I feel like that's why districts like yours and District 49 and others like District 41 and even parts of Senate 26, the southern portion especially, are getting redder. Would you agree with that?
Well, people are fed up. It's not redder, but they vote red, but they still register Democrat.
Right.
And this is I changed party about over 20, 25 years ago from a Democrat because I was brainwashed in public school. I didn't know that. Okay. I was brainwashed in public school, always Democrat, then independent Democrat. I wasn't too attuned about that. And then I changed Republican because it's more reflected to my family value, to the Chinese core family value. Okay, so that's out. So I haven't been a lifelong Republican, but I've been long enough, over 2 decades. That's long enough to see what I'm seeing. And I remember Ronald Reagan was, to be honest, was a pure Republican, and I admired him. And I like Ronald Reagan, his strength, how he talked, and it was common sense.
Yeah.
And that would gravitate me to that party. It says Ronald Reagan, that's a person I respected very much.
Yeah, his presidency kind of guided you towards the Republicans.
That's correct.
Right. That makes a lot. I asked Chairman McCabe this last week. I have to ask you, your favorite Republican president. Would it be Reagan?
Oh, definitely Reagan.
Okay.
Oh, no question about Reagan. He's a modern, he's pragmatic, and he came from nothing, and then he built his career in film. But then he uses his name, his celebrity status, to run for office in California, and then he was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. He's in probably my top 5. I got to be honest, I'm Nixon maxing. I got to go all in for Richard Nixon. But I definitely have a lot of respect for President Reagan. That's for sure. In
China, Nixon is a well-respected president out of all the presidents visited China, because he cracked the ice, he cracked the ceiling, he made friends. So and he's willing to open up with China in terms of just beginning before trade and relationship. And one thing, let the audience know that as a Chinese American, I'm the first Chinese elected Republican, the entire state, the first one out of all the years of the Democrats. Now, there was a Chinese Republican in New York City Council. His name is Peter Koo, but as soon as he came to office, he changed party to Democrat, and he still is.
He switched from Republican to Democrat.
That's correct. It's all about money because in city council at that time is if you're in a majority, you get funding to use discretionary fund. If you're a minority as a Republican, you get nothing. So all he was gravitate because of that, and with money, then you can help build your community. I don't believe in that.
Right.
And that's why even in my state level, I have no discretion. I get zero discretionary funds. Keep me honest. And you're probably going to hear other Democrats, they're being arrested or investigated by misusing of discretionary funds. I have nothing to give. I have nothing to promise because I have nothing. Nothing times nothing is nothing except my service to my constituents. And that's the most important thing of anyone that my opponent failed to do is take care of the constituents. And I talked to the Italian. He's an Italian guy. He's always complained that he did nothing for the constituents. And I know that. And all he did is he put money to other nonprofits thinking that they would support him. But it's really the everyday voters is the one that vote me in. And it's proven. So for those people who are running for office, and I'm serious, that be prepared to run more than once. From my experience, people who ran the first time, 95 to 98% will never run again because they know after they realize how much money they have to put in, how much sacrifice for their family they had to give up, how much time, the free time they had to give up just to run for office. Is it worth it or not? After they lost and after all the money expenses, you have to look deep inside in your heart why you want to run for office. And it has to be the right reason. You have to be willing to put in money in this office to run because you will never get your money back. And don't even think about that. You have to run for the right reason.
And clearly you ran for the right reason and you're representing 49 very, very, very well, perfectly. That really comes from a three-pronged spear. It's safety, education, and affordability. And we talked about that too. I mean, I want to talk about something recent that happened on the 26th. I'm looking at here, ex-NYPD cop's innocent son, 12, gunned down. Quote, "Where's Mamdani?" Right? And this is happening all across the city. I think in the Upper West Side a couple of days ago, we had that dual stabbing.
Yes.
That might have been something that was motivated by
Chinese
religion.
and a Jewish person.
Yeah.
And that person, the perpetrator, was saying Allah Akbar.
That's confirmed. He did say that?
That's what is reported. I don't know if they confirm or not.
Gotcha.
Okay. But it also tells me that Mamdani, as a mayor, is supposed to be represent for all. Doesn't matter who you are. You represent, as a mayor, represent New York City and all population. And it's for the past 6 months since he's been in office, 7 months in office, anti-Semitic crime has risen, as well as Asian hate crime has been risen. It hasn't been decreased.
Yeah, it's disgusting what they're doing.
Yes.
It really is.
And yes, and I'm surprised that as a mayor, is supposed to represent for all, and he's not.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that comes from the cashless bail that's been implemented, and that was implemented in 2020?
2020, around 2020, 2021. Yes, when the law passed about that too.
I feel like a lot of that is an excuse for, I feel like most of it, honestly, is an excuse for somebody to punch an old lady in the face or, God forbid, stab somebody, and they're out the next night. They're out the morning of.
That's correct.
And, what steps can we take in the Assembly and the Senate, and even what can the governor do? How can we get that repealed?
Look, first we need to repeal. We need a new governor. Bruce Blakeman. My take. Once he becomes governor, he's going to get rid of cashless bail, and cashless bail, and also reclassifying what's a criminal activity. Not too long ago, when you beat the fare, when you jump the turnstile, it's a misdemeanor. Right. Now it's a desk appearance ticket, so it's not criminal crime. When you're smoking marijuana, you smoke it. You're supposed to be. It's criminal. It's a drug. But now you legalize it, so it's not a criminal act.
Right. What's up?
So you lower the threshold, lower the definitions. That's why, in one sense, crime rates went down. Well, yes, you reclassify that, then crime rate went down because you reclassify that. But in the police report, they never reported. It's called petty larceny. Yeah, petty larceny goes up to the moon. That's means shoplifting, petty larceny. Anything for less than $1,000, is reported petty larceny, but it's not part of crime statistics.
They just don't put it in.
They don't put it out. So those petty crime, people remember petty crimes. You don't see too many murders out there,
Mm.
but you do see people shoplifting. You do see people who jump the turnstile. You do see people punching somebody in the face, and then or you get a desk appearance ticket, and it's not a misdemeanor. You can
Yeah.
punch a cop in the face, and the cops can do anything, and he walks off. The perpetrator walks off. It's not even charged.
I feel like that's another reason too. It's a great point because the police in New York City, especially,
Mhm.
and other areas, other metro areas in the state like Buffalo and like Albany
Mhm.
and Schenectady, whatever, you know, they have been completely stripped of their ability to really effectuate their power
Mhm.
as law enforcement officers. And I definitely want to see that changed. And, you know, because that we got rid of qualified immunity for the police.
By the city council already stripped their qualified immunity.
Yeah.
What do you mean by qualified immunity? That means as a cop doing their job, they can be sued personally, and the city won't even protect them. So
Mhm.
because if you work for a company, whatever you have misdoing or something against what the company policy, company law is supposed to protect the company and protect the employees, whether it be right or wrong. There's always representation, but here cops are personally liable. That's from city council. Now I like to see that if you put that qualified immunity stripped away from a DA, commander, or from
Yeah.
from a judge not doing your job, all right, letting go of a perp and perp redid the crime, and now you're legally sued, they won't want to be judged anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, the cops basically are hands off. If I touch somebody, I might be sued liably and affected my personal wealth, my personal asset. So it makes no sense. Now I put a law 3 times in a row to overcome that qualified immunity. Of course, the Democrat doesn't like that
Mm.
to pass through my committee, but I'll try it again because I want to make sure that I'll tell the cops I'm doing everything I can on my side, on my level, that I'm looking out after you because this is a stupid law that city council, and I know city council are way too progressive, will never reverse qualified immunity.
Absolutely. Did any Democrat vote with you?
No, of course not. They would not.
Of course not. Oh my goodness. I want to get back to doing a couple, covering a couple
Mhm.
topics. I can't even speak today. Excuse me. I want to cover education. I want to cover cost of living. But first, we're going to go to a really quick short break. I'll be back to you in just 1 second.
All right.
Like some of the head Dominicans. And we're back. And not only am I joined by Assemblyman Lester Chang, I'm also joined by our outreach chair for the New York Young Republican Club, Colby Connerly. Colby, how are you?
Doing good. Just walked for hours in the Bronx, but I survived. I'm here.
I love to see it. I love to see it. Colby will work so hard. He will go from the Bronx to Midtown for the New York Young Republican Club. We love to see it. We really do love to see it. Assemblyman, I wanted to ask you, and Colby, I want you to chime in wherever you can, because I know you have a lot of experience in these issues when it comes to the affordability and the education. Colby's ran multiple campaigns across the country and New York City, and obviously you've run in 22 and 24, and even before that. These were still major issues back then. They maintain to be major issues now. What can we do together as a party and as a community to fix the cost of living crisis in New York City?
Well, first of all, we cut taxes, put the money back into your pockets to the taxpayer, because we overspent the money uselessly, wastefully. Government is terrible. Actually, they're very good on wasting people's money. All right,
True.
They're very good about that, and so put the money back. So we cut the taxes. And second, we need business to come back in. So we have better competition. We have more competition, lower the prices, goods, and we're not. And next is I have a bill about affordability by housing itself. So right now we have a 30-year mortgage. And I took the playbook from President Trump in November, talking about 50-year mortgage. They said, "Hi, that's an interesting idea." So I did a little more research earlier this year, and I know on the Trump side, that went down because there was too much interest on the mortgage itself. But I look at it as more affordability type. And I did a little homework. What other countries that have that? It had to be Japan, 50 and 100-year mortgage. So I put a bill here, and we have New York State have a very unique mortgage. It's called Sonia Mace, New York State Mortgage Authority. It's only for people who live in New York and for properties in New York. So we put a 40, 50-year mortgage program. You're basically lowering per month versus a 30-year, 20% down, 20% less per month. And all you need is 5% down, and the state will try to finance the 5% down. So because buying a home is portable. New York City is very expensive. You can buy 5 homes upstate and 1 home here. So you have this kind of affordability, and we lost almost 1 million people in New York State. So why do we make it flexible to have people move upstate? Because it's affordable upstate than New York City. So there is no balance right now. There is no market balance. So if I can lower that down to a 40, 50-year mortgage, plus also able to transfer that from a parent to a child for that same mortgage, because to avoid inheritance tax. That's why there's a 100-year mortgage from Japan. Something like that. So we can work on that. So we lower it because home ownership is American dream. NYCHA is not American dream. I don't know why people want to stay in NYCHA for several generations, but we give them a way that would be equal or better than what they're paying for NYCHA with crappy service and a very poor housing stock. Home ownership is the way to go, and that's the one way they can transfer that wealth to the next generation. Now, what we're talking about, that's one way. There's 2 ways of attacking affordability: lower the taxes and housing. Imagine a 50-year mortgage, you're fixed for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, basically fixed.
And I'll just chip in here. One of the things that Lester didn't mention is that to get these mortgages portable, and Lester knows a lot about this. This is another. I think this was a part of your bill, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, it's getting a portable mortgage. So it's not like you're locked in for 50 years at that one place. You can you can try to get another house and swap the mortgage over. That way you're still paying on. You're not losing your investment in case you need to get out of the city or you need to get a different house if you have children.
So that's one idea on that. And besides, nobody live in the same place. On average, people change their home about 15 years. So if you can able to afford it, equity goes up. You can sell at a profit. That's great, because then you can hopefully your income will expand as well, especially for young married couple. And that's one way to attack affordability. And next, about education. is early in the podcast, my community, the Asian community, are used to with standardized tests. They're getting very prestigious college that's free, basically for free. Every parent have their kids going to some tutoring so they can have a better chance to pass those tests overseas. So they still doing it right now to this day because we believe in specialized high school. That is they believe that it's a criteria for the next school, like going for Ivy League, and it's a public school. So, and I believe in meritocracy. I don't believe in DEI. DEI is another word of quota, and I don't believe in that. I believe in when you come up, show up in your resume for your work is based on who you are, what you have done, what you have contributed, what classes you have taken. I don't want to have a doctor admitted because he has quota that he met. I want that doctor to be the very best that he brings in. He studied very hard. He works very hard and get A's in school, and that's how he survived. I want that person, and I want that person who applied for a job to be the very, very best, not based on skin color and not based on quota. And I don't believe in that. That's why my community does not believe in DEI.
DEI is the antithesis. It's the enemy of meritocracy. And meritocracy really is the only way that we're going to live a regular life anymore. If we have doctors or lawyers or engineers or even salesmen, right, that are being kicked to the curb because they're not checking box A, B, or Y, that's a massive problem.
Look, back in the de Blasio days, de Blasio got rid of the specialized high school test. Now it's more of a lottery. Like, you test well, but it's really a lottery. And it was because certain communities, like the Asian community, were testing so well and were doing amazing that it showed that. And look, they're not putting a lot of money into these communities. They throw money at a lot of what they call disserviced communities all the time, communities that, economically aren't that well off. And they'll give them all brand new stuff for their schools and everything, because unlike large parts of the country, it's not based on property taxes, like what school you go to. Like the rest of the country, if it's school funding is based on property tax, if it's like a crappy town or whatever, they'll have a crappy school. In New York City, kids can go to any borough to go to school. They can go there's an aviation high school like in the city. It's amazing. The fact is that when one community succeeds, all these other communities blamed it, and they said that there was racism going on, that their community was being left out for, all these reasons. But look, it's test results. Like, the Asian community put in the time to hire tutors and everything. They put in like the money. They've invested in their children because the children are the future. Other communities didn't do that. And they're having to get a political response to try to correct that. And unfortunately, even with this mayor, like, he's trying to go a step further. He's trying to get rid of, primary school testing to get into, middle schools and everything. So they're trying to get rid of the only good, like, education system this city has, like what makes it unique, unfortunately, and trying to make it like the rest of the country.
This is my take here. Okay. Not too long ago, the report came out for specialized high school that more than half of the population of those specialized high school are Asian kids, and about 30% are white, and maybe 5% are Hispanic, and less than 3% or 2% are black. But this is not yesterday. This has been existing for decades. It used to be white Jewish kids would dominate on specialized high school, but now it's Asian. So what it fundamentally have changed is the basic foundation of the kids in Black and brown community needed to be reinforced. The basic ABC, the basic grammar that they're lacking or not focused on, and the family have to be part. You cannot legislate family, unfortunately, to push these kids into a more strenuous education. But we need to have them available for them, which they are. But you got to motivate both parents and the kids to take these foundation tests, foundation tutoring, so they can build they're better, so they can able to compete. You don't have a good grammar, you don't have good mathematics background. It's very hard for you to compete without that, and we got to emphasize that very basic.
I know, absolutely. I mean, I love that you brought up NYCHA because the worst landlord in New York City is New York City.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you take a look at what they're doing. It's run down. It's ridiculous what they're doing, and that wraps back around to what Colby said about the mayor. I have a piece here. It's saying, this is from a couple of hours ago. Kyle Kuzma of the Milwaukee Bucks, NBA player. He called Mayor Mamdani, quote, a mayor playing president, end quote. So, and it's so true. I mean, I wanted to get your take on not only that quote, but what can we do as New Yorkers, as Republicans, as common sense independents do to combat Mayor Mamdani? What can we do?
Mr. Mayor, do your work. Fill the potholes. Take care of the garbage transportation. Their infrastructures are falling apart, okay? The budget that we pass, and I reluctantly pass, is the extra $12 billion to fill in the hole, okay, that you overspent. You need to cut that. The world affair is not your affair. That's somebody else. That's the President of the United States. Your affair is to take care of New York City first and foremost. That's what you got you elected. I give you already 7 months, and I think you're in a failing grade. But you have a way to resurrect this, and I give you a benefit of the doubt because you're young. You're 32, 33, 34 years old. Okay, no, very limited work experience. You have a key to the city that has over $100 billion in revenue. You got to do something to take care of 8.5 million people who are living paycheck to paycheck. You got to take care of the city first. Outside of that, that's outside your job description. Take care of the city first.
Well, one thing he really should do is he should hire more police officers. You know, he almost did that. He tried to squeeze it into the budget. It was in the budget, and then his DSA crowd, you know, screamed and cried and everything for him to take it out of the budget, and then he took it out at the last second. You were going to hire, and you know what the number of new police officers he was going to hire was in the hundreds. It wasn't thousands or anything like that. It was just a couple hundred more police officers that he was going to do during the World Cup, and that got shot down. Look, I saw the mayor today. I mean, I saw him like 3 feet away from me. All he does is he just smiles and he's playing the character right now, just like what Mario was saying. It's really unfortunate. He still has time to fix things, but he's just look. I think he's riding the wave. He's going to tee up to eventually run for Senate or Congress or something in a decade or something like that when he's termed out.
When Mamdani runs,
I don't think actually that he thought he was going to get elected to mayor. I think his idea was that he was going to, you know, eventually run for Senate or run for some other office. I don't think he thought that he was going to get as far as he did.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Because he cares about federal issues. He doesn't really care about city issues.
He hasn't done anything for the city issues.
And I'm not going to say he hasn't done anything either, actually. I mean, he's trying to do stuff when it comes to small businesses. Like the socialists that are anti-small business are just stupid. I think he's smart enough to get that. So they're trying to cut down on small business regulation, or he's saying that he is. You know, we'll have to watch on that. A lot of bodega owners, you know, they don't feel safe, and that safety has a lot to play into whether these businesses are going to succeed in the first place. So,
absolutely. We got some comments over on YouTube. I want to read them out.
Okay.
One is from, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but it just says, all caps, Asian Republican. Now that's something I want to see more of. That's it.
There's a lot. They're the fastest growing group in New York State. So
yeah, as an elected official, and I can understand my Asian community. First of all, who want to be a politician when you're under a microscope at all times? When your finances being a microscope, you have no privacy at all.
Yeah.
And why do I want to be subject to it? Okay. Yeah. Especially for people who are in the middle of a career, building a career. Even my Asian community, politicians is the least amount of being a career, making a career. Even for me, all right, I'm a politician, of course, by title, but in my heart, I'm not. and I'm just here to service my community. And I will not be a 20-year or 30-year politician. I will not. There'll be some point in time I will finding my next replacement to do a better job than I can. And that's all I am. I'm a placeholder for the next generation, hopefully, that will do a better job than I do. That's what I'm looking for right now.
And you guys, I just say this. If you want to know a funny story about Lester, a funny Lester story I got is that he was on the phone with an old neighbor. And the neighbor says, well, I heard that you're in the assembly now. I'm kind of surprised. I heard that you were thinking of going into coding after retirement. So Lester, like, it's amazing that he's an elected official because he's retired. He's had a great career. I'm sure that you've talked about this already in the, in the Naval Reserves, in, business and everything. Like, you are giving back to the community. I really appreciate that. And if this commenter, if any of these people want to see more Asian Republicans, like, what you should do is you should go to lesterchang.com and donate, like, to this candidate right here. He's running for re-election, but that's the only way. We got to keep him in, and that way we can elect more. It's, it starts with one. Lester was the first Asian Republican elected in Brooklyn. I think you might have been the first Asian in general in Brooklyn that got elected.
Entire state.
Look, I'm not one for like the whole like title thing where we have to be first at everything. The Democrats love that, but it's important to be talking to all communities. And Lester, I think, has done a great job since he's been in. And he's look, Lester sounds more Republican than a lot of New York Republicans. So
no, you have to. Okay, since I'm elected, I'm an incumbent, so I have a slight advantage. But I don't, as a Republican, I'm a minority of the party itself. You cannot ignore that the machinery, the Democrat machine, is very powerful in New York. They have tremendous amount of financial resources, tremendous amount of manpower. Even in my district, as I said, it's 5-to-1 ratio, 5 registered Democrat to 1 Republican. What kind of manpower they can get engaged? And in the school system, they're brainwashing our kids to go for Democrats. So the machinery is very powerful itself. They have the money, they have the control. All leadership throughout the state and the local communities are basically Democrat. We cannot ignore that, and I still need resources to make sure that I'm staying in office.
Right. And, they have that machine of they'll just churn people. And that's why I'm so happy that the New York Young Republican Club has endorsed you because, going back to what Colby was saying, Asian Americans are one of the fastest growing groups of Republicans.
Chinese Americans are the fastest growing in the state of New York.
Oh, in the entire state. Yeah,
it's not even just Asians Americans. It's just Chinese Americans.
Right. Okay. That's it's like 10 years ago, we wouldn't have seen that. At least, 10 years ago Trump was just getting elected 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I just want to say this too. Like, you wonder, he said 5-to-1. There's 5 Democrats for every 1 Republican. A lot of those Democrats actually vote Republican. But I will say this, though. In the same overlap as Lester is a city council person. I won't name names, but she is you want to talk about machine politics, really bad machine politics. This is what we're going against. She's a Democrat, and we have to deal with it. She will call up people in the Asian community and threaten them not to donate to Lester or anything else. And, it's interesting. So Lester was elected before her, and it used to be in the Chinese community, you just vote for the Chinese person because, a community wanting to stay together. But now there's Chinese versus Chinese in this district. And one side is threatening another side with throwing out funding. These Democrats are so, I don't want to use the word corrupt, but so forceful in their machinery that we have to do everything we can. Because, if you're voting Republican, it's because you really believe in it. These people that vote Democrat, it's not because they really believe in it. It's just because, inertia. So.
Right. I got another one here about DEI. This is from M. Carl XB. I don't know how to pronounce your names, guys. I'm sorry. NYC has become DEI Central. Striving to stand out based on your merits has become looked down on here. Lester, can you speak to that?
Yes, I will still support meritocracy. That is the only way we can advance. Now, New York is one of the few blue states that love DEI, but you look at the whole United States, they're against DEI.
Oh yeah.
And as long as you have President Trump is anti-DEI, we got a force majeure over there. So, well, we need leadership. We need a new governor. We need a Republican governor, and we got to flip a few more seats on the Senate side and the Assembly side. So I need all your help, all the young Republicans, to promote, make sure that our candidates, Republican candidates, get elected so we can nip this DEI in the bud.
I love it.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. I got one for Colby, actually.
Ah.
This is from Thomas Kellogg, our
Mhm.
best friend. Thomas, we love Thomas Kellogg.
We love Thomas Kellogg.
We love
yes.
Thomas Kellogg so much. If you can hear me, please come and save us. Love that hat, Colby. I'm always rocking mine. Thomas is the GOAT, as they say.
I was at the Dominican parade today, and I knew like all the Dominicans would be wearing hats today. So I put that on, and it was great. It was a wonderful time. I'm going to give a quick shout out to, we tried to get him on the show today, but he's got this new child and everything. I'm so happy for him. Pedro Acosta, our Hispanic caucus chair. He was out with us all day in the parade. He is a rock star. So please, we got an Asian assemblyman on right now, but our club is big. We're in every community. We're getting into, really trying to get into all the events and everything. So I just want to give a huge shout out to him. He's doing a lot of great work.
Outstanding. We love Pedro, and congratulations to Pedro. Thank you for the comment, Thomas. Milvian Victor, I'll just call you Victor. Mario looking good tonight. It's all good, man. And the second comment from somebody else, I believe this is the first person to comment about the Asian Republicans. And I encourage my Asian American brothers and sisters in NYC to do so, especially if NYC ever flips red. So I love that. That's pretty much what we were ramping on before.
That's the route. That's the route
the
that you
route.
got to go
That's what we
to.
gotta
If you want a Republican mayor in New York City, it's through the Asian community. It's through, the Jewish community. It's through the Hispanic community.
Oh yeah.
It's through obviously the Italians. We love the Italians.
Oh yeah, we love the Italians, folks.
Through those communities.
Absolutely. We got one more. This is very sweet from M. Carl. I believe it's M. Kari XB. This man is the image of the American dream. I believe that's aimed towards you, Lester.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very, very sweet stuff. We love to see it. Let's see here. I'm just trying to figure out if we have anything else in terms of comments. I
just want to make comment is,
for sure.
Folks, you haven't joined the Young Republican Club, please do. I've been a member for over a decade. So it has some benefits. It's one way is to coalesce and meet with like-minded people who love the city. And this is a club that definitely takes its place. And please be generous and join the club.
Yeah. So Lester, I'm pretty sure, is a what's it called? A sustaining member.
Yes, a sustaining member of over a decade.
Yeah. So he's been, right when this club kind of kicked back into gear and everything. So we really appreciate him.
Yeah, we absolutely love to see it. And we talked a lot about 2022, kind of the David and Goliath, if you will, right? And evidently you turned out on top. I want to shift gears over to 2020, almost to 2024, over to 2026, right? We've been in the assembly for 4 years, and you face another adversary in November. And given that we've spoken about education, about affordability, about crime, about lawlessness in New York City, what would be, pretend I'm a voter in your district. What do you tell these people? They're starving for change in the city. What do you tell these people?
Well, first of all, Mandani is writing my narratives. He's doing the right thing for me, make me look better. So, and what I've done is I've created a third-party line called Stop Mandani Line. Unfortunately, it did not gone through. The standard wasn't there, and I accepted the results. But then my opponent used that and misinformation, disinformation, false information, saying that I'm out of the ballot itself. So that tells you the Democrats, even though my opponents, can you imagine?
Yeah.
And I don't think she's at first I wasn't thought she was progressive, anything like that, based on her background, as I understand. But to stop me as a third party line to give voters a choice to vote on as a third line to stop Mandani, then it hit me and says, wow,
Yeah,
she
she's
does
pro
support.
Mamdani.
She's pro Mandani, very pro. Would stop me to stop Mandani because my community do not like Mandani. And my community knows that Mandani has not supported the Asian community as a Jewish community as well. And
Yeah.
I also
By the
encourage
Italian community as well.
and the Italian community. And I encourage our Jewish brothers and sisters and also Italian brothers and sisters who are still a Democrat, please consider joining our party. Because
change your registration.
Change your registration. Can you imagine if 10 or 20,000 of Jewish voters, Orthodox Jewish voters, were to convert from a Democrat to Republican? That is like a tsunami telling you the message on a Democrat. You are promoting the wrong message at all. Promoting.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do anything special. Mandani's doing the work for me.
I think it's a very fair way to look at it.
He's making your case.
Yes, it is.
You know, I look at it this way, and I want to get your thoughts on it, right? We have essentially old New York and new New York, basically. Old New York meaning, you know, back when earlier you mentioned Bloomberg was, you know, making sure the budget was good. There was relatively lower crime as compared to today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more livable. You were able to exist and live and do everything you need to do. Whether that's have a family or have a profession or a gig or a job or whatever the case may be. And now all that's getting harder. And I would say you're fighting for a vision of old New York to keep it beautiful the way it was. And people like Zohar Mamdani and your opponent, who are pretty much two peas in a pod, I'd argue, are trying to turn it into this new spectacle of things and effectively destroy the New York that we all grew up, that you grew up in, I should say. Would you agree with that?
Well, Lester, who was the mayor when you were a kid? Do you like who was the first mayor you
That was
remember?
a Lindsay, John Lindsay.
Really? Lindsay.
Or
By the
Wagner.
way,
Wagner, then Lindsay. Yes.
Lindsay used to be the president of the New York Young Republican Club. So I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought he was a Democrat.
No, he was a Republican. He got the liberal line though in 69. But yeah, just so anybody at home knows, our club has already actually got somebody in the mayor's office before.
There you go.
Yeah,
So-
scoreboard.
Yes.
Scoreboard. Oh, it's so real. But I mean, you know, it looks to me like, again, we have old New York and new New York, and there is a very large delineation between the two. And what you're fighting for is just straight up common sense.
It's universal. Okay. The new New York I've seen right now are transplant from other places.
Mhm.
Okay. New York is an international city.
Oh yeah.
Attractive. No question about that. Finance and jobs. Maybe that's maybe we're losing that to finance. They're moving out. But it has that attractiveness throughout the world. And the old New York, like myself would consider old New York, okay, a lot of them are brainwashed in the system to support the Democrats, and they're diehard Democrats. Even though that brand has changed, the flavor has changed into a bitter tasting Democrat, bitter tasting than before, but they still die hard.
Is Joyce born in New York?
No, she's not. She's born in China.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Well, it's more than that. To me, that is not a disqualifier.
Yeah.
But it's what you have done and what you have promoted to the community. But so far, I'm seeing the results. And she's a staffer of a Democrat city council person. Even though I believe I'm a much better candidate, but I cannot ignore the machinery behind it that can promote a bad candidate. Is exactly what Mandani has done. The machine was right behind him, and he able to win. Remember, during the primary, Cuomo has so much money and so much recognition, and he had to pack saying nasty, terrible things about Mandani. And what happened? He beat out the primary because the people didn't come out to vote. The basic stuff didn't come out to vote. And that's what our job is, to have the people, voters, to come out and vote. Hey, common sense. Do you want this to continue? Do you want to have increased potential property tax? Right now, it's a pause right now because city council doesn't like it. But who knows tomorrow? All right, there might be talk about increase in property tax. And look at Kathy Hochul about congestion pricing. During her run, she said, "I'm going to pause congestion pricing." Soon as she's winning the election, boom, we have $9 congestion pricing. It's going to go up to $12 and $15. And is it projected to collect $250 million? Was already exceeded $500 million collected by congestion pricing into a black hole of an MTA that I don't even know where the money is being spent on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It looks like maybe a better analysis, Assemblyman, would be instead of old New York and New York, although I still maintain to believe that, it's really just common sense over a broad spectrum of people, Democrats, Republicans, no matter what your race, ethnicity, religion is, common sense or socialism. That's the way it looks to me.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this, as far as what Lester's done with old New York, you know, some of these communities, you go to any community in Brooklyn, they'll tell you, hey, you know, this was an Italian community originally.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this or not, but this was Italians. Lester is honestly such a great fighter for the Italian community. I don't know if you had mentioned it before, but Lester is one of the key backers behind this new Columbus statue that's coming in on Dyker Heights at the John Hughes Club. It's a project that I've actually worked with Lester on this last year, and it's been so great. Like in October, you know, if you guys want to actually look into this, it is preservingitalianheritage.com. We're so excited about this, and Lester's going to be one of the keynote speakers at its installation in October. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Well, let me describe what happened, because when Donnie was running for office last year, back in October, I think September, October, he put a middle finger on the Statue of Columbus.
Maybe flipped it off.
Yeah, flip the bird, Statue of Columbus, and never thought about that. But until he won in November, then that image came out to me, and because I celebrated Columbus Day in my community, which is in Dyker Heights, and then I put together and it says, you know, we got to do something to stop this bird flipping on Columbus, and different cities are tearing down Columbus statue. Now, Columbus may not be a perfect guy. No one is like George Washington. No one's, but he made a major contribution that shifted history in America significantly, that he has to be remembered. And even Department of Education do not use Columbus Day as a holiday. They use Indigenous Day to substitute, which is ridiculous.
Which nothing against Indigenous Day, but you don't need to put it on Columbus Day.
That's correct.
You already got a federal holiday. They should have another one. You can put it the next day.
That's correct. So in my mind is how I can preserve the Italian and how I can galvanize the Italian, because the Italian has been very quiet about this. They're being abused. They've been recklessly pigeonholed, and not exerting their voice. And let me be that voice for them. So that's why I created a committee called Preserving Italian American, and the statue, which I thought about that we need to have a symbol. And that's what this committee, I just formed this committee right now run itself, and I just oversee it, and they're doing fantastic job right now.
Lester was like an inaugural, like former of the committee. He was super great. He's donated personal funds to this and everything. So as have I. And like, I am so surprised how far it's gotten and everything. So it's being made right now in Peru, an actual statue of Columbus. And they're going to be shipping it up here in September. It's going to be finished by September. They're going to ship it up here, and we're going to get installed on hopefully October 11th. So I think that's huge. Look, you can, and I want to show this like to any young person like watching this and listening. You know, I'm a young guy. I'm a transplant. You know, I came out here. I'm not Italian, but all those things did not stop me from helping form this committee, getting all the members, organizing Zoom calls, in-person meetings, and everything. You can do anything in your local community. Like, you might not, like, all these young people want to like take over a party, or they want to do this or that, or they want to have some national effect. Guys, in your local communities. It doesn't even have to be where you're from. Like wherever you go, you can have a huge impact. It's just all about getting out there and doing something. The Statue of Columbus is not even for me. It's for the communities. But I wanted to be a part of it. I want, like, the Italian community is so trampled on these days. We have a mayor that is a racist, pretty much. He's racist against Italians. He's racist against large members of the Asian community. He wouldn't even go to the AAPI parade, which Lester was you were a
Grand Marshal.
Grand Marshal at. They won't go there. You know, members of the Chinese community have reached out to him during the campaign and after, Chinese Democrats. And they say, look, like, we want to talk to you. Like, are you going to come out and speak to us? Just because, look, no community wants to be left in the dark, especially in Democrat politics, because they understand where the water goes, goes down. So they have to deal with him one way or another if he's the Democrat nominee. And the response they got from them is so terrible. They said, well, you're not in our vector of what we need to win. Like, you're just like, you're not in the coalition that we're building. He doesn't care about the Asian community, just like he doesn't go out to the Italian events, doesn't go to certain parts of the city. You go to the parts that make sense in his campaign plan, which, if you're the Democratic nominee at that point, you're pretty much on track to win at that most of the time, especially with all the chaos that happened last year. You think that you would at least just try to ease things in all these communities, and he just chose not to. It's really disrespectful.
Absolutely. And as we begin to end the program, Assemblyman, I do want to give you final words, but first off, where can we find you on social media, on Instagram, X? Colby, I'll let you go first.
It's just at Colby Connerly on X. And that's it. Yeah, just reach out to me on X.
Awesome. Become a Connerly reposter like myself today. And Assemblyman, where can we find you?
You can find me for Lester for NY, number 4, Lester for NY. You can find me on that on my website, and I hope you can support me financially. Yeah, you can support me financially and or volunteer, because I do need volunteers, especially in early voting and this upcoming election, because the Democrats has manpowers and resources that blows me away.
But you know what? They don't got nearly as much work ethic as Lester, though. That's the thing. Lester is out there knocking doors already and everything, so he's fighting through. But any help is needed.
Thank you.
We love it. And Lester, just one final, I guess, word to the audience, and then we'll end the program. What would be your final message to our
Certainly,
audience
for
today?
those who want to run for office, run for the right reason. Work hard, 7 days a week, 120% effort. Family must be behind this. Then it's possible, very possible, you can win, as I have the impossible odds.
Overcoming impossible odds, and we're going to do it again. We really appreciate you, Assemblyman Chang, for coming on. Colby, the hardest working member of the New York Young Republican Club, came all the way from the Bronx for this. My top guy, honestly. Let's be real here.
Cut that.
No, we're not cutting that. We're doing it live. My name is Mario J. Nicoletto, and as for me, all you got to do for little old me is follow NYYRC _campaigns on Instagram and NYYRC on our X and our Instagram. We really appreciate having a warrior for the common sense cause like Assemblyman Lester Chang tonight. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the New York Young Republican Club, and God bless the United States of America. Have a great night.